Hello and welcome to Unscripted, the video series that connects you with market leaders. Today on our Unscripted video, we welcome David Snyder, Risk Management Program Specialist at McNeil Co. Hello, David, and thank you for joining us here today.
Hi, Rich. Thank you for having us on. Happy to be here as part of the Carwash insurance program.
Great. Well, today's topic is on understanding risk at a car wash and then implementing prevention strategies. So obviously, just like any business, there's risk associated with operating a car wash, maybe even elevated with all the moving parts and the cars that are on site. So what are some of the most effective ways to prevent incidents and then subsequently insurance claims at a car wash that you can recommend?
Absolutely. Two of the biggest things that an operator can do is housekeeping, ultimately. And of course, housekeeping is a good sales pitch too, because depending on how your site looks, it's going to draw your customers in. And education. The times have changed, and having a well-educated staff is really going to bring you forward in claims prevention and having them understand where claims can come from. There's so many different angles, whether it be traffic driving on site, understanding the vehicles that they're operating. There's so many nuances and how they even put a vehicle in gear nowadays. You know, the old shifting knob is gone. We don't see a lot of standard vehicles. We do still see some. It's part of the reason that the express wash models come in, but it just so many fronts to educate the staff, and that also helps with their upselling. If they understand how all the components of the wash work, that they can reassure their customers and talk about the products that are being applied to the car. So absolutely, those are the main components, and it's continuous education. It can't just stop on day one or two.
Right, and we'll touch on that topic certainly a little later on in this interview, but we talk about the staff and the employees. So what role do the employees specifically play before, during, and after an incident occurs at a car wash site?
Absolutely. As soon as something happens, the staff have to react. Hopefully they react sooner than later to help mitigate the risk from becoming larger. Because things can snowball very quickly. So, you know, they start as an incident manager. What actions they take going forward can make or break a claim. Not only their actions, but even what they say. You know, using key words, teach them not to say certain things, because until you know what happened, you know, if they start trying to reassure the customer that everything's going to be okay and that we're going to take care of everything, the minute they say we're going to take care of everything, that can be construed that you're kind of at fault and that this is something that happened at the wash when it may not have. It may have been a customer error. So they can press that no, the wash took responsibility. So training them is big. Again, the incident management. Also, they become a documentation specialist on what they need to capture from that incident with an incident report and getting all that and making sure that they're securing any evidence, taking photographs, that they're securing the video. Video footage is huge to help with what happened. And even if it's not an incident, I'll give you an example of a crash in a tunnel that the first car created. A lot of operators kind of get that out of the tunnel, have a police report maybe taken if that, but they try to put it off that it's between two cars, and that's all fine, but they don't save that evidence and they don't always document that. And if they don't do that, what's going to happen down the road is a claim's going to come forward. There's going to be a lawsuit when the second car didn't get their payout. They're going to try to come back on the wash for that. So it's very crucial that they're gathering that evidence and they're securing that footage to show that, so that it's an open and closed case that no, it's not our problem. And then after that, they move into a safety mode. You know, they become kind of a safety technician, depending on where the accident was on site. If it involved any of the wash equipment, is it safe to get the wash up and running, and what repairs might need to be made to make it so that it's safe, so that we can move on and
Sure.
start bringing in the money again.
And you mentioned proper documentation. Certainly, after an incident occurs, it's a bit of a chaotic situation, as you explained, and certainly we see that occurring when in the market when we're reporting it in the car wash e-news. So, what does proper documentation of an incident entail? Can you go into a little bit more detail?
Yep. Um, Proper documentation, you need to get the information of the parties involved. So, get their name, their address, their telephone number, even emails addresses in this day and age. Get the license plate number off the cars. Anything that you can to make that contact in the future with them if needed, or if the insurance company is going to need it, law enforcement is going to need it. You've got to have that trail of documentation. Beyond that, make notes of, what time of day it was, what were the conditions, was it rainy, was it sunny? Just try to capture any details about the incident, and then you want to think about witness statements, who saw what went on, and get them to write a brief statement about it so that you've got that details. You don't always have to go to that extreme, but the bigger the incident, the more you want to make sure that you're getting where the damage was on the vehicles. Part of the documentation is getting photographs. Video can be good. Can't stress enough how to secure the video, but we've all got phones nowadays with cameras. If that's the quickest and easiest way, just get a bunch of photographs of the scene so that it lays it out so that it can be looked at closer. And that damage can be captured from different angles than the video cameras are grabbing. One other real key thing is that we've learned is, if you've got an incident report form, have a spot for them to sign that the information is true and accurate to their best ability. Because if one thing we've found is, sometimes if you go through and you've got that form and now you're asking somebody to sign that this is accurate, some people that might be on that little bit of a fraudulent claim side might stop and think twice now all of a sudden, well, maybe I don't want to sign that. And they may back away from wanting to sign it. And that's okay. Don't push it too hard, but that's a clue right there, and document afterwards that, hey, they refused to sign this after we went through it with them. So that's kind of a key piece to trigger what's happening there, or potentially happening.
It's a great point to bring up, and then certainly too many details are never a bad thing to have. So especially after an incident occurs. So, what initial training should operators consider for new employees in the areas of risk assessment and prevention, and then what ongoing training should be employed for longer tenured employees in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. Right off the top, when somebody first comes in, you should have a formal onboarding process and what you want covered. And part of that in this day and age is your basic HR topics. Get your sexual harassment, workplace violence done. We've got a mix of employees out there these days, and things happen, and we do see those claims. So that's very important. Most states now are starting to have regulations. You need to have it done, so that can become a regulatory issue. So please take the time to do that, and then move on with a walkthrough of the property. Talk to them about situational awareness, where the hazards are, so that they know that right up front. Have it spelled out, and give them examples of what can happen if you're not using lockout tagout. And then you should get into things like lockout tagout, your chemical safety. Even though it's just soaps, there can be some materials out there that we're using. The acids have kind of gone away. It's still out there in places, but it can be dangerous. And if things start getting mixed wrong, or if the wrong chemicals applied at the wrong part of the vehicle, it can cause problems. So they need to be educated on all that. And then your regulatory stuff, your more in kind of your chemicals and lockout tagout, those are required by OSHA. Make sure they're understanding all that. And if they're using any type of tools, power tools, ladders, look at and then break down your daily operations and walk them through a training on what's expected and how to interact with customers. some people, it may be one of their first jobs, and they need a little bit of help understanding. All of that's actually going to help in claims prevention. And then it's going to be ongoing. Um, it's not one of those set it and forget it roaster ovens. You just can't walk away. You've got to keep moving all the time, and give gentle reminders. Set up a schedule where a couple times a month you bring staff in and you remind them of a certain thing, or you've had a couple of incidents or a couple near miss incidents where there was almost a problem. Take and have a 10 or 15 minute tailgate talk. Remind folks that, hey, watch out for this, or geez, you've just learned about a new vehicle coming out, and we've got to watch for customers aren't going to be able to know how to get their own car in neutral. So we may have to be a little bit educated to coax them into it, because that's going to prevent a problem. So training is definitely an evolving and ongoing process.
Sure is. And David, do you have any other advice for car washes looking to control their insurance payouts and premiums?
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. First thing is, I just want to say, if you have a problem on site, you've got to get that documented immediately. Safety of everybody is paramount. That's the first priority. Make sure everybody's okay. Get that documentation done. If it's something that you feel could be reportable or needs to be reported, don't wait. Get notice into your insurance carriers. The longer a claim waits before it's filed, it always seems to be the correlation is that a payout becomes larger the longer it waits. So if you wait 6 months to see if something happens, and all of a sudden it comes in as a late report like that, it just, we're behind on our end right from the get-go, and trying to investigate it and try to reduce that. So get it reported as soon as possible. Please work with your staff, train them. Just that ongoing training is huge, and they need to have that attitude of, if they see a problem, don't wait. Don't hope that the next guy is going to grab it. And it can be as simple as picking up some trash on the property. Get that cleaned up. If you see areas where your soap transfer is starting to build up at wash exits or around the vacuum areas, have a policy and procedure in place where you're addressing that before it becomes a problem. We're heading from late summer. Fall's going to be here pretty soon. Start thinking ahead of time about your winter procedures and safety training for that, and how you're dealing with, if you're in areas where there's snow, salt, ice, get that salt out there. Make sure it goes back to training, that your staff are trained and are being proactive and not waiting. Because when you get people slipping and falling on the property, the express washes have helped reduce some of that, but those claims are huge. So anytime people see a maintenance issue, get on it, deal with it, bring it to somebody's attention, whatever it may be. But just don't wait. It's constantly ongoing and monitoring of your properties.
Certainly better to be proactive than reactive when it comes to risk assessment and prevention. So, David, I know you and McNeil and Company have been a great content partner for PCD and Carwash.com for many, many years. And viewers that are interested could go to Carwash.com in our blog section, and you'll see several McNeil blog posts written about this topic and others. So I encourage you to visit that section of our website today. David, thank you for doing this unscripted interview with us for Carwash.com, and certainly all the best to you moving forward.
Thank you. Absolutely. We're always happy to be a resource to any operator out there. We want to do our part to keep the industry safe. Thank you.